Stop waiting for life to change. Your life is not stuck because you are unlucky. Your life is stuck because some version of you keeps choosing comfort over standards. That may be hard to hear, but if you let it in, it can change everything. Most people want a different life, but they keep protecting the same habits. They want more confidence, but they keep breaking promises to themselves. They want more peace, but they keep feeding the same distractions. They want better results, but they keep waking up as the same person, making the same choices, repeating the same excuses, and calling it normal. Then they wonder why nothing changes. But life does not change because you feel inspired for one night. It does not change because you watch one motivational video, write one goal in a notebook, or promise yourself that Monday will be different. Life changes when your daily standards change. Not your mood, not your fantasy, your standards. Discipline is not punishment. Discipline is not living with no joy. Discipline is not hating yourself into becoming better. Discipline is self-respect in motion. It is the moment you stop negotiating with the part of you that wants to stay weak. It is the moment you stop asking whether you feel ready. It is the moment you decide that your future deserves more loyalty than your comfort. And that is what this audiobook is about. Not hype, not temporary motivation. Training, because motivation is loud when life is easy. Discipline stays when life gets heavy. Motivation says, I feel ready. Discipline says, I made a promise. Motivation disappears when you are tired. Discipline continues because your standards do not need permission from your mood. If this message is reaching you at the right time, take 1 second to like this video so more people who need it can find it. And if you know someone who is trying to rebuild their life quietly, share this with them. Sometimes one honest message reaches a person at exactly the right moment. In this audiobook, we will go through 10 chapters. First, you will learn how to admit the truth about your standards. Then you will learn how to stop negotiating with your weakest self. You will build a first hour that gives your day direction. You will protect your focus like it is your future. You will choose the hard thing before life forces it on you. You will finish what you start. You will replace motivation with identity. You will cut the habits that keep pulling you backward. You will stay consistent when nobody claps. And finally, you will make discipline your new normal. This is not about becoming perfect. It is about becoming dependable. Because when you become dependable to yourself, everything starts to move. Your confidence changes, your energy changes, your work changes, your relationships change, your decisions change, your future changes. Not all at once, but day by day, choice by choice, standard by standard. So take a breath. Do not listen to this passively. Listen like someone who is done living below their own potential. You do not need a new life first. You need a new standard first. Let's begin. Chapter 1. Admit the truth. Your life reflects your standards. The first step is not action. The first step is honesty. You cannot discipline yourself while lying to yourself. You cannot build a new life while pretending the old one happened by accident. You cannot change what you keep excusing. Your life is not only the result of what happened to you, it is also the result of what you allowed, what you repeated, what you tolerated, and what you slowly accepted as normal. That truth is uncomfortable, but it is also freeing. Because if your standards helped create your current life, then your new standards can help create your future life. Look at your actual day, not your dreams, not your vision board, not the version of yourself you talk about becoming one day. Look at what you do when the alarm rings. Look at what you reach for first. Look at how quickly you give your attention away. Look at the task you keep avoiding. Look at the promise you keep making and breaking. Look at the way you spend your evenings after work. Look at what happens on Sunday night when you tell yourself that this week will be different, but nothing in your system has changed. That is where the truth lives, not in your intentions, in your patterns. Most people do not fail because they have no potential. They fail because their standards are too easy to negotiate. They accept a little delay here, a little disorder there, a little scrolling, a little broken promise, a little excuse, a little, I'll do it tomorrow. Then they wake up months later inside a life built from small permissions. A life does not collapse in one moment. It weakens through repetition. Every time you say, just this once, you are training yourself. Every time you say, I'll start next week, you are training yourself. Every time you let your mood decide your behavior, you are training yourself. The question is not whether you are training. You are always training. The real question is, what are you training yourself to become? If you repeat avoidance, you become someone who avoids. If you repeat excuses, you become someone who excuses. If you repeat disorder, you become someone who lives in disorder. If you repeat discipline, even in small ways, you become someone who can be trusted. That is the foundation. Discipline begins when you stop blaming your whole life and start examining your daily standards. This does not mean you shame yourself. Shame is not discipline. Shame makes you hide. Discipline makes you rise. Shame says, I am broken. Discipline says, I am responsible. Shame attacks your identity. Discipline upgrades your behavior. You are not here to hate yourself. You are here to tell the truth. There is a difference. Truth says, this is where I am. Discipline says, this is not where I stay. Start with a simple exercise. Write down 3 areas where your standards have become too low. Maybe it is your sleep. Maybe it is your health. Maybe it is your money. Maybe it is your work. Maybe it is your attention. Maybe it is your relationships. Maybe it is the way you keep leaving things unfinished. Do not make the list dramatic. Make it accurate. Then write down 3 new standards, not wishes. Standards. A wish says, I want to be healthier. A standard says, I move my body every day, even if it is only 10 minutes. A wish says, I want to be focused. A standard says, I complete one important task before I let the world interrupt me. A wish says, I want to be disciplined. A standard says, I keep one promise to myself every day. That is how the rebuild begins. 1 clear standard, 1 kept promise, 1 honest decision. Do not underestimate small standards. A person does not become strong by making 1 dramatic change and then disappearing. A person becomes strong by proving repeatedly that their word means something. Your standards are not just rules, they are instructions to your future. Every day your actions tell life what you are available for. If you tolerate chaos, life gives you more chaos. If you tolerate delay, life gives you more delay. If you tolerate weakness, life keeps giving you situations that expose it. But when you raise your standard, even quietly, life begins to respond differently. You carry yourself differently. You choose differently. You stop accepting what once felt normal. You start noticing the cost of your old habits, and slowly the old version of you starts losing power. Before we go deeper, do one thing. Pause this audio if you need to. Write down 1 standard you are done lowering, not 10. 1. Put it somewhere you can see it today. Because the next chapter is where that standard will be tested. Your standards are writing your future before your dreams ever do. Chapter 2. Stop negotiating with your weakest self. The weakest version of you is not always loud. Sometimes it sounds reasonable. It says you worked hard yesterday. It says you can start next week. It says you deserve a break. It says just 1 more episode. It says just check your phone for a minute. It says you are too tired to do what you promised. And if you are not careful, that voice will sound like self-care when it is really self-sabotage. There is a difference between rest and retreat. Rest restores you so you can return stronger. Retreat keeps you hiding from what you know you need to do. Most people lose the battle before they ever take action because they enter a negotiation with the part of themselves that wants to stay the same. They already decided to wake up early, but when morning comes, they negotiate. They already decided to work out, but when the body feels heavy, they negotiate. They already decided to finish the project, but when focus becomes difficult, they negotiate. They already decided to stop wasting money, but when stress appears, they negotiate. And every negotiation has a cost, not just in time, in identity. Because every time you make a promise to yourself and then break it, you teach your mind that your word is flexible. You teach your nervous system that discomfort is an emergency. You teach your future that comfort has more authority than commitment. That is dangerous. A person who cannot trust themselves becomes weaker from the inside. They may still look busy. They may still talk about goals. They may still plan. But deep down they know. They know they do not follow through. and that knowledge quietly destroys confidence. Confidence is not built by repeating words you do not live. Confidence is built when your actions prove that you are the kind of person who does what they said they would do. That is why discipline must become non-negotiable. Not everything in your life needs to be strict, but some things must be protected. Your health, your focus, your work, your word, your self-respect. If everything is negotiable, your future has no structure. If everything depends on mood, your life will always be unstable. You do not need to win every battle in one day, but you do need to stop giving your weakest self the final vote. Here is the practice. Choose one non-negotiable task for today. 1, not 10. One task that proves you are serious. It could be 30 minutes of deep work. It could be going to the gym after your 9 to 5. It could be cleaning your apartment before bed. It could be sending the email you have avoided. It could be reading 10 pages instead of scrolling. It could be cooking a simple meal instead of ordering food again because you feel tired. Pick it, define it, make it clear enough that there is no confusion. Then remove the debate. Do not ask, "Do I feel like doing this?" That question is a trap. Ask, "Did I decide this matters?" If the answer is yes, move. Use the 5-second rule if you need to. Count backward. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Stand up, open the document, put on the shoes, start the timer, wash the dishes. Begin before your mind builds a courtroom for excuses. Action must interrupt negotiation. Because the longer you sit with resistance, the stronger it becomes. Resistance loves delay. It grows in hesitation. It feeds on open space. When you move quickly, you cut off its oxygen. This is not about becoming robotic. It is about understanding that the old version of you will not disappear politely. It will ask for one more chance. It will ask for comfort. It will ask for tomorrow. Do not give it the meeting. You are not being cruel to yourself. You are being loyal to the part of you that wants to live better. There is a future version of you who is depending on today's discipline. That person needs you to stop negotiating. They need you to stop making comfort the final authority. They need you to keep the small promise when nobody cares, because that is how self-trust is rebuilt. Every kept promise is evidence. Every completed task is evidence. Every moment you act before you feel ready is evidence, and evidence changes identity. You begin to think, maybe I am not as weak as I thought. Then maybe I can trust myself. Then maybe this is who I am now. That is how discipline compounds. Not through one heroic decision, through repeated refusal to betray yourself. So today, when the weak voice appears, do not hate it. Do not argue with it. Do not explain your dream to it. Just move. Let action answer. Let behavior speak. Let discipline close the conversation. And if this chapter hits something real in you, leave a simple comment. No more negotiation. Not for anyone else. For yourself. Make the decision visible. Because the next chapter is where you begin to take control of the day before the day takes control of you. Do not debate with the version of you that wants to stay the same. Chapter 3. Build the first hour that builds the whole day. Your day is often decided before you realize it has begun. The first hour matters, not because it must be perfect. Not because you need to wake up at 4 in the morning. Not because every successful person has the same routine. The first hour matters because it tells your mind who is in charge. If the first thing you touch is your phone, you are handing your attention to the world before you have even met yourself. Messages, notifications, news, comments, problems, other people's opinions, other people's emergencies, other people's lives. You wake up, and before your feet hit the floor, your mind is already crowded. That is not a morning, that is surrender. Most people do not start the day. They react to it. They let a screen set the emotional weather. They let a message decide their mood. They let social media compare their life before they have taken one disciplined breath. Then they wonder why they feel scattered by noon. The first hour is your chance to reclaim command. It does not need to be complicated. In fact, it should be simple. Simple enough to repeat. Strong enough to matter. Start with this rule. Do not give your phone the first word. If you can protect 60 minutes, protect 60. If your life is busy, if you have children, early shifts, a long commute, or a demanding schedule, protect 15. The point is not perfection. The point is ownership. No scrolling, no inbox, no random news, no checking what everyone else is doing before you decide who you are becoming. If your phone is your alarm, turn it off and put it across the room. Do not open the door to the world before you have chosen the direction of your day. Then stand up, drink water, move your body. It can be a walk around the block, push-ups in your room, stretching beside your bed, a short workout in the garage. Anything that tells your nervous system, we are awake, we are active, we are not drifting. Your body influences your mind faster than your thoughts do. When you move, you create energy. When you sit too long with a tired mind, excuses gather. After movement, write 3 lines. Line 1, what matters today? Line 2, what must be completed? Line 3, what kind of person do I need to be today? Do not write a novel. Write direction. Most people lose the day because they never define the day. They carry 10 vague priorities and complete none of them. They confuse being busy with being disciplined. Clarity is discipline. If you do not decide what matters, distraction will decide for you. Now choose your first important action. Not the easiest, the most important. Before you consume, create. Before you react, build. Before you answer the world, answer your future. This could be writing, training, studying, planning, building a business, applying for a better job, improving a skill, or completing a task that moves your life forward. The category does not matter. The order matters. Do what matters before the world convinces you that everything else is urgent. That is how the first hour builds the whole day. You start with ownership, then movement, then clarity, then focused action. That sequence changes your state. You stop feeling like a person being pushed by life. You become a person directing life, and that feeling matters. Because discipline is easier when the day begins with evidence. If you keep the first promise of the day, the second promise becomes easier. If you win the first decision, the next decision has momentum. If you start clean, you are less likely to surrender the day to chaos. But understand this clearly. If you lose the first hour, you are not doomed. Discipline is not perfection. If you wake up late, begin from there. If you check your phone too early, stop and reset. If the morning is messy, claim the next hour. The goal is not to worship the morning. The goal is to stop living accidentally. A disciplined morning is not about aesthetics. It is not about a perfect desk, expensive coffee, sunrise photos, or posting your routine online. It is about command. Can you begin your day without being owned by impulse? Can you choose your first action instead of obeying your first craving? Can you protect your mind before the world enters? That is the training. Tomorrow morning, try this. When you wake up, pause for 10 seconds. Before touching anything, say, I lead this day. Then get up. Water, movement, 3 lines, 1 important task. That is enough. Do it for 7 days and watch how your self-respect shifts. You may still have problems. You may still face pressure. You may still feel tired. But you will not feel powerless in the same way. Because you will have started the day with proof. Proof that you can direct yourself. Proof that your mood is not your master. Proof that your future gets the first part of you, not the leftover part. A strong life is built through strong beginnings. But a strong morning means nothing if the rest of your day leaks attention. That is why the next chapter matters. Win the first hour, and the rest of the day follows orders. Chapter 4. Protect your focus like it is your future. Your attention is not a small thing. It is the material your future is built from. What you focus on repeatedly becomes what you move toward. What you give your mind to becomes what your life begins to serve. That is why distraction is not harmless. Distraction is not just a break. Distraction is not just a few minutes. Distraction is a thief that enters quietly and leaves with your energy, your clarity, and your momentum. Most people say they do not have enough time, but often, time is not the real problem. The problem is fractured attention. They have time in pieces. 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there. A half hour lost switching between tabs. Another half hour lost answering messages that were not urgent. An hour lost pretending to work while the mind jumps from email to calendar to social media to random thoughts. At the end of the day, they feel exhausted, but not accomplished. A distracted mind cannot build a disciplined life. You cannot create something meaningful if your attention is pulled apart every few minutes. You cannot master a skill if every interruption has permission to enter. You cannot think clearly if your brain is constantly reacting to noise. Focus is not found. Focus is protected. You do not wait to feel focused. You build an environment where focus becomes possible. Start with your calendar. If something matters, give it a place to live. Do not say, "I'll work on it sometime today." That is not a plan, that is a wish. Put it on the calendar. 30 minutes, 45 minutes, 90 minutes. Whatever you can truly protect. A focus block is a wall around your future. During that block, one task gets your full attention. Not 5. 1. This is where most people fail. They confuse movement with progress. They answer messages, check tabs, organize notes, adjust the playlist, open a new idea, and call it work. But real work has weight. Real work asks for presence. Real work requires you to stay long enough for your mind to go deeper than the surface. The first 10 minutes may feel restless. Stay. The next 10 minutes may feel boring. Stay. Then something changes. Your thinking sharpens. The work opens. Your mind stops running and starts building. That is the reward of protected focus. Depth, and depth changes results. One focused hour can do more than 5 scattered hours. One clean block of attention can solve what distracted effort keeps postponing. Now look at your environment. Your environment is either protecting your focus or attacking it. A cluttered desk sends a cluttered signal. A browser with 20 tabs invites escape. A phone beside your hand creates a silent temptation. A noisy room, an open inbox, and no clear task turn work into mental chaos. Before deep work, remove what does not belong. One task, one tool, one clear surface, one defined block of time. If you work in an office, use headphones. If you work from home, create a start ritual. If you study at night, set the space before you sit down. If you commute by train or bus, use that time for one focused input. Reading, notes, planning, or silence. Do not wait for perfect conditions. Build better conditions. You also need attention boundaries. Do not let every message become an emergency. Do not let every request become immediate. Do not let every notification train people to expect instant access to your mind. Check messages at chosen times when possible. Batch small tasks, close loops intentionally. A disciplined person does not live open to every interruption. They choose what gets access. Ask yourself, what is currently owning my attention that has no right to own my life? Is it constant email checking? Is it switching tasks every 5 minutes? Is it saying yes to every request? Is it online comparison? Is it drama? Is it pretending to be productive while avoiding the one task that matters? Be honest. Your attention is too valuable to be given away by accident. This week, create a focus protection plan. Choose one deep work block each day. Choose one time to check messages instead of checking all day. Choose one workspace reset before you begin. Choose one task that gets completed before you allow yourself to drift. You do not need a perfect productivity system. You need fewer leaks. At first, focus may feel uncomfortable. That is because distraction has trained your mind to escape the moment effort begins. But if you stay, the discomfort becomes strength. You begin to hear your own priorities again. You begin to think without being pulled. You begin to notice how much energy returns when you stop leaking it everywhere. Focus is the engine of discipline. You can have goals, but without focus, they remain fantasies. You can have ambition, but without focus, it becomes scattered pressure. You can have talent, but without focus, talent becomes unused potential. Protect your focus. Protect it like money. Protect it like health. Protect it like time, because it is all of those things. And before we move on, if this is giving you clarity, save this video or add it to a playlist. Come back to it on a day when your focus feels weak. Training works best when you repeat the message. What owns your attention eventually owns your life. Chapter 5. Do the hard thing before life forces you to. Life does not remove difficulty because you avoid it. It stores it, and later it returns with interest. That is why discipline asks you to choose difficulty on purpose. Not because suffering is noble. Not because pain automatically makes you better. Not because you need to punish yourself to grow. You choose hard things because hard things train the part of you that comfort weakens. Every day you are choosing one of two prices, the price of discipline or the price of regret. The price of discipline is paid up front. It feels uncomfortable now. It asks you to wake up, focus, train, speak honestly, finish the work, save the money, study the skill, have the hard conversation, or walk away from the habit that keeps shrinking you. The price of regret is paid later. It feels heavier. It comes when you realize months passed and nothing changed. It comes when the opportunity is gone. It comes when your body, your bank account, your confidence, or your future reflects years of avoidance. Both prices are real. One builds you. The other breaks trust with yourself. This is why the hard thing matters. The hard thing is not always dramatic. Sometimes it is very simple. Going to the gym after a long workday, meal prepping instead of ordering takeout again, opening your credit card statement instead of avoiding the numbers, sending the job application, having the conversation, studying for 1 hour after your shift, walking when you would rather lie on the couch, going to bed on time when your old self wants another episode. Most people imagine discipline as one massive heroic act, but real discipline is usually quiet. It is the small moment where you want to escape, but you stay. It is the moment where your old habit reaches for you, but you choose differently. It is the moment where nobody would know if you quit, but you continue because you would know. That is strength. Do not wait for life to force you. Life can force discipline through crisis. A health scare forces discipline. Debt forces discipline. Lost opportunities force discipline. Broken trust forces discipline. Rock bottom forces discipline. But wisdom is choosing discipline before consequences choose it for you. You do not need to hit the wall to change direction. You can decide today. Here is the practice. Every morning, choose one hard thing. One, not a list of 10 painful tasks. One meaningful act of discomfort that moves your life forward. Ask yourself, what task am I avoiding because it makes me uncomfortable? That is often the door. If you avoid the gym, train today. If you avoid the conversation, schedule it. If you avoid the project, work on it for 45 minutes. If you avoid your finances, open the numbers. If you avoid silence, sit without your phone for 10 minutes. The thing you avoid often holds the growth you need. Do it before the easy thing. This matters. If you start the day with comfort, comfort becomes the standard. If you start with the hard thing, your identity changes. You prove that discomfort does not control you. After you finish, write one sentence. I did what I said I would do. That sentence is powerful. It tells your brain that difficulty is survivable. It tells your identity that action is possible. It tells your future that you are becoming someone who does not run from resistance. Over time, the hard thing becomes less threatening. Not because it becomes easy, because you become stronger. This is how discipline changes your relationship with discomfort. At first, discomfort feels like a stop sign. You feel tension and think, I should quit. You feel boredom and think, I should escape. You feel fear and think, I should delay. But after enough repetitions, discomfort becomes a signal. It says this matters. It says stay here. It says this is where the old pattern breaks. That shift is life-changing, because the world belongs to people who can do what is necessary when it is not convenient. Not the most talented, not the loudest, not the most inspired, the consistent, the focused, the ones who can choose the hard thing before life makes the choice for them. So today, stop making comfort your compass. Comfort is useful for recovery, but dangerous as a leader. Let values lead. Let standards lead. Let the future lead. You do not need to destroy yourself. You need to strengthen yourself. You do that by meeting discomfort in measured, intentional ways until your nervous system learns a new truth. Hard does not mean impossible. Hard means training. And if you are still listening, do not let this stay as an idea. Choose your hard thing now. Say it out loud if you can. Make it real before the next chapter begins, because choosing the hard thing is powerful. But finishing it is what builds self-respect. Choose discomfort now, or life will choose it for you later. Chapter 6. Finish what you start. Starting feels exciting. Finishing builds respect. Most people have more unfinished work than they want to admit. Unfinished goals, unfinished projects, unfinished books, unfinished plans, unfinished commitments, unfinished versions of themselves waiting in the background. They start with energy. They buy the planner. They download the app. They set up the workspace, they watch the tutorial, they tell themselves, "This time is different." Then the work becomes ordinary, the excitement fades, the results take longer than expected. The process becomes repetitive, and they leave. Not because they are incapable, because they have trained themselves to worship the beginning and avoid the middle. But the middle is where discipline is built. Anyone can start when emotion is high. Anyone can make a plan when the future feels bright. Anyone can talk about change when change is still imaginary. Finishing requires something deeper. Finishing requires you to keep moving after the mood changes. It requires you to stay when the work becomes less impressive. It requires you to reduce the scope instead of abandoning the mission. It requires you to face the uncomfortable truth that you may not need a new idea. You may need to complete the one you already started. Every unfinished task leaves a mental weight. It sits in the background, it whispers. It reminds you that you did not follow through. Over time, too many unfinished tasks become identity damage. You stop seeing yourself as someone who completes. You become someone who tries, someone who almost does, someone who talks, someone who begins. But discipline is not proven at the start. Discipline is proven at completion. This does not mean you must finish every bad idea. Some things should be released. Some commitments were wrong. Some paths need to end. Wisdom knows when to quit what is misaligned. But many people are not quitting from wisdom. They are quitting from discomfort. They are quitting because the work got boring. They are quitting because the first version was not perfect. They are quitting because finishing would require them to be seen, judged, or responsible. That is the pattern that must break. Your next level may not require a new goal. It may require finishing what you keep avoiding. Here is the practice. Write down 3 unfinished tasks that still matter. Not random old ideas. Tasks that still have weight. Maybe a course you started. A resume you never updated. A room you keep promising to clean. A business idea with no first offer. A workout plan you stopped after week 2. A difficult email sitting in drafts. A budget you keep avoiding. A creative project sitting half-built on your laptop. Choose one. Then define what finished means. This is important. Many people do not finish because they never define the finish line. The task stays vague, and vague work becomes easy to avoid. Do not say, "I need to get organized." Say, "By tonight I will clear my desk, sort these papers, and throw away what I do not need." Do not say, "I need to work on my project." Say, "I will complete the first draft of page 1. Do not say, "I need to get healthier." Say, "I will walk for 20 minutes today." Define the finish. Then reduce the scope if necessary. Finishing does not always mean making it perfect. Sometimes it means completing version 1. Sometimes it means closing the loop. Sometimes it means making the next step real instead of letting the idea live forever in your imagination. Done is better than abandoned. That sentence can save you, because perfection is often fear dressed as high standards. You tell yourself, "It is not ready," but sometimes the truth is, you are afraid to complete it because completion makes it real. Finish anyway. Let version 1 exist. Let the room be clean enough. Let the email be sent. Let the workout be completed imperfectly. Let the draft be rough. Let the promise be kept. Completion creates energy. When you finish one thing, your mind receives a signal. I can close loops. I can follow through. I can be trusted. That signal changes how you approach the next task, and the next, and the next. Soon, finishing becomes part of your identity. You become someone who completes, someone who closes the loop, someone who does not leave their future buried under half-made promises. This is not just productivity. This is self-respect, because every finished task is a quiet declaration. My word matters. Your life will not change if everything remains half-built. A half-built habit does not transform you. A half-built project does not free you. A half-built identity does not carry you through pressure. Finish, not everything, the right things. Start with one. Choose one unfinished task and complete it within 72 hours. Make it clear, make it small enough to finish, make it real. Then feel what happens when you stop carrying it. That feeling is not small. That is the feeling of power returning. And when you learn to finish, you are ready for the deeper level, becoming the kind of person who no longer needs motivation to do it. You do not build confidence by starting. You build it by finishing. Chapter 7. Replace motivation with identity. Motivation asks, do I feel like it? Identity says, this is who I am. That is the difference. If your discipline depends on motivation, your life will always rise and fall with your emotions. You will work hard when you feel inspired and disappear when you feel tired. You will make progress when the environment supports you and collapse when resistance appears. That is not stability. That is emotional dependence. Motivation is useful. It can start the engine. It can give you a spark. It can open a door, but it cannot carry the whole life. The deeper force is identity. People act in alignment with who they believe they are. If you believe you are someone who never follows through, you will find reasons to quit. If you believe you are someone who always falls back, you will treat relapse like destiny. If you believe you are someone who cannot focus, distraction will feel normal. But if you begin to see yourself differently, behavior starts to change, not instantly, but powerfully. You stop saying, I am trying to become disciplined. You start saying, I am a person who keeps promises to myself. That sentence changes the standard. Trying gives you room to escape. Identity gives you a line to live up to. But listen carefully. Identity without evidence is just another fantasy. You cannot call yourself disciplined and keep living with no proof. You cannot call yourself focused while giving your attention away all day. You cannot call yourself reliable while leaving every promise unfinished. The words matter, but the evidence matters more. Every action is a vote. Every time you choose the workout, you vote for the identity of a healthy person. Every time you protect your focus, you vote for the identity of a serious person. Every time you finish what you start, you vote for the identity of a reliable person. Every time you choose silence over drama, you vote for the identity of a peaceful person. You do not become new by thinking new thoughts once. You become new by collecting evidence. Small evidence, daily evidence, private evidence. That is why small actions matter so much. A 10-minute walk may not transform your body overnight, but it gives evidence to your identity. A single page may not make you wise overnight, but it gives evidence to your identity. One focused work block may not make you successful overnight, but it gives evidence to your identity. And identity grows from evidence. Here is the practice. Write this sentence. I am the kind of person who. Then finish it with the identity you are building. I am the kind of person who finishes what I start. I am the kind of person who trains even when I am not in the mood. I am the kind of person who protects my focus. I am the kind of person who tells the truth. I am the kind of person who does the hard thing first. Choose one, only one. Then ask, what is one action today that proves this identity? Not a speech, not a plan, not an announcement, an action. If you say you are the kind of person who protects focus, then complete one phone-free work block. If you say you are the kind of person who keeps promises, then keep one promise today. If you say you are the kind of person who takes care of your body, then move your body today. Make the identity visible through behavior. Do not tell everyone too early. This is important. Many people talk about their new identity before they have evidence. They announce the change, they post the plan, they share the vision. For a moment, they receive the emotional reward of progress without doing the work. Be careful. Talking can become a substitute for becoming. Let the evidence grow quietly. Let the actions speak first. Let your life become the announcement. When identity becomes strong, discipline becomes less of a fight. You still feel resistance, but the decision is clearer. You do not ask, what do I feel like doing? You ask, what does someone like me do next? That question cuts through chaos. What does a disciplined person do when tired? They reduce the task, but they do not disappear. What does a focused person do when distracted? They return. What does a strong person do after failing? They reset fast. What does a reliable person do after making a promise? They keep it. Identity gives your behavior a home. Without identity, discipline feels like something you visit. With identity, discipline becomes where you live. So stop chasing motivation as if it will save you. Build proof. One action at a time. One vote at a time. One kept promise at a time. You are not waiting to become someone new. You are becoming someone new through what you repeat. If this chapter gave you a clear identity sentence, write it down. And if you want, leave only the first part in the comments. I am the kind of person who, let the rest be proven by your actions. Because once identity begins to shift, the next step is protecting it from everything that keeps pulling you backward. Discipline becomes easier when it becomes who you are. Chapter 8. Cut the habits that keep pulling you back. You cannot carry every old habit into a new life. Something has to be cut. This is where many people get stuck. They want transformation without subtraction. They want the future without releasing the patterns that keep dragging them into the past. They want more focus, but keep the same distractions. They want more energy, but keep the same sleep habits. They want more confidence, but keep the same self-betrayal. It does not work. A new life requires new boundaries, not just adding good habits, removing what weakens you. Some habits do not look dangerous because they feel normal. That is what makes them powerful. They have been with you so long that you stopped questioning them. The late bedtime, the messy environment, the people who only call when they need something, the random spending when you feel stressed, the food choices that leave you heavy, the weekend routine that destroys your Monday, the endless comparison, the entertainment that gives you escape but no restoration, the excuses that sound like personality. These habits may not destroy your life in one dramatic moment. They pull you back quietly, they lower your energy, they blur your thinking, they weaken your standards. They keep the old identity alive. If something repeatedly pulls you backward, you must stop calling it harmless. Discipline is not only what you do, it is also what you refuse, what you remove, what you no longer give access to your future. This is not about becoming extreme. It is about becoming honest. You do not need to cut every pleasure. You do not need to live like a machine. You do not need to reject rest, fun, or connection. But you do need to recognize the difference between restoration and escape. Rest gives energy back. Escape drains energy and asks for more. Rest leaves you clearer. Escape leaves you foggier. Rest helps you return to your life. Escape makes you avoid it. Look at your habits through that lens. What restores you? What weakens you? What are you calling relaxation that is actually avoidance? Maybe Sunday night is not relaxing you. Maybe it is helping you avoid Monday. Maybe the friend group is not supporting you. Maybe it is keeping you attached to an older version of yourself. Maybe the spending is not comfort. Maybe it is emotional leakage. Maybe the late nights are not freedom. Maybe they are stealing the next morning. This is the level where discipline becomes mature. It stops being only about effort. It becomes about design. Design your environment so the right behavior is easier. Put your workout clothes where you can see them. Keep healthier food available. Charge your phone outside the bedroom. Set your workspace before bed. Remove apps that keep pulling you into comparison. Limit access to people who only feed drama. Create friction between you and the habit that weakens you. Create ease between you and the habit that strengthens you. Do not rely on willpower when design can protect you. Here is the practice. Create a kill list. Write down 5 things that are pulling you backward. Be specific. Do not write bad habits. Write the actual behavior, staying up past midnight for no reason. Spending money when I feel anxious. Leaving my space messy every night. Saying yes when I already feel drained. Eating like I do not care about my energy. Watching content that makes me compare my life. Keeping people close who make discipline harder. Now choose 1, not 5. 1 habit to cut for 7 days. 7 days is long enough to reveal the pattern but short enough to begin. Then choose a replacement. This matters because you cannot simply delete a habit and leave an empty space. The old urge will return. Your brain will look for the familiar path. Give it a new one. If you cut late-night scrolling, replace it with reading 10 pages. If you cut random spending, replace it with a 24-hour waiting rule. If you cut weekend disorder, replace it with a Sunday reset. If you cut complaining, replace it with 1 action step. If you cut drama, replace it with silence and distance. Replace, repeat, rise. The first few days may feel uncomfortable. That is not failure. That is withdrawal from the old pattern. Your mind will try to convince you that the habit was not a big deal. It will say you are being too strict. It will say you deserve it. Remember, The old self does not leave without trying to renegotiate. Do not argue. Observe the urge, name it, then choose the replacement. Every time you cut a weakening habit, energy returns. Not always instantly, but steadily. You begin to feel lighter, clearer, more in control. You realize how much of your life was being spent on things that gave almost nothing back. This is one of the most powerful forms of discipline. Not adding more, removing what steals from you. Cutting is not loss, cutting is protection. You are protecting the person you are becoming, and that person cannot grow in the same environment that kept the old version alive. So choose one thing, cut it for 7 days, replace it with something that strengthens you. Then watch what happens when your future finally has room to breathe. Because after the old habits lose access, the next test begins. Can you keep going even when nobody sees it? If it keeps pulling you backward, it does not belong in your future. Chapter 9. Stay consistent. When nobody claps, the most important work often happens without applause. Nobody claps when you wake up and keep your promise. Nobody cheers when you choose water over another bad habit. Nobody celebrates when you sit alone and do the work. Nobody sees the moment you almost quit, then continue. Nobody posts about your quiet discipline. But that is where the new life is built. In private, in silence, in repetition. Many people can work hard when they are watched. They can perform when praise is near. They can push when someone believes in them. They can stay consistent when results are visible and encouragement is constant. But real discipline begins when the room is quiet, when nobody checks on you, when nobody notices, when nobody cares yet. That season is not punishment, it is training. Because if you need applause to continue, you are not free. You are dependent on external permission. You are letting the world decide whether your future is worth building. Your future must matter before other people validate it. This is especially important in the beginning. At first, results are often invisible. You work out, but your body looks the same. You save money, but the account still feels small. You study, but the skill still feels weak. You create, but nobody watches. You improve, but people still see the old version of you. This is where many people quit. They mistake invisible progress for no progress. But roots grow before fruit appears. A foundation is built before the house rises. Strength develops before it is displayed. You must learn to respect the invisible phase. The invisible phase is where your character is tested. It asks, will you keep going without proof that the world is watching? Will you stay loyal to the process when the results are still quiet? Will you do what is right when there is no reward except self-respect? That is discipline. Private discipline creates public power, but only if you stay. Here is the practice. Track your consistency. Do not track applause. Do not track compliments. Do not track whether people notice. Track the actions you control. Did you complete the focus block? Did you move your body? Did you keep the morning standard? Did you finish the task? Did you avoid the habit you said you would cut? Did you review your day? Create a simple chain. A calendar, a notebook, a habit tracker. It does not matter. Each day you keep the promise, mark it. The mark is small, but the signal is strong. It says, I showed up. After a few days, the chain becomes visible. After a few weeks, it becomes meaningful. You begin to protect it, not because the tracker is magical, but because it reflects your new identity. But remember this, do not become fragile about the chain. If you miss a day, do not turn one miss into a collapse. Reset fast. A disciplined person does not use one bad day as permission to abandon the whole mission. That is old thinking. That is emotional thinking. That is the pattern that kept you stuck. Miss once, return immediately. Never miss twice if you can help it. Consistency is not never falling. Consistency is refusing to stay down. You also need to stop seeking recognition too early. There is a time to share. There is a time to celebrate. There is a time to let others see what you have built. But in the early phase, protect the work. Do not turn every goal into content. Do not expose every seed to the weather. Do not announce every plan before it has roots. Some dreams need privacy before they need attention. Some goals need discipline before they need witnesses. Some transformations need silence before they need applause. Work quietly. Improve quietly. Let your results gather weight. There is a different kind of confidence that comes from private discipline. It does not need to be loud. It does not need to prove itself in every room. It knows what has been done when nobody was watching. That kind of confidence is stable, because it is built on evidence, not applause. So when nobody claps, continue. When nobody notices, continue. When the progress is slow, continue. When the old life calls you back, continue. When you feel unseen, remember, unseen does not mean unimportant. The work still counts. The reps still count. The pages still count. The choices still count. The quiet mornings still count. The private victories still count. One day the results will speak, but by then you will not be desperate for validation. You will know how they were built, brick by brick, day by day, promise by promise. And if this part speaks to your season, share this video with one person who is building quietly. Not everyone needs to know your work, but sometimes the right person needs the reminder to keep going. Win in private until the results speak in public. Chapter 10. Make discipline your new normal. The goal is not to be disciplined for one intense week. The goal is to make discipline normal. That is the difference between a temporary change and a transformed life. Anyone can become intense for a short period. They get frustrated, make a dramatic promise, change everything at once, push hard for a few days, and then collapse back into the old pattern. Intensity feels powerful, but consistency changes life. You do not need a dramatic personality. You need a reliable system. You need a set of standards that can survive ordinary days, stressful days, boring days, and imperfect days. Because life will not always feel inspiring. There will be days when you are tired, days when work is heavy, days when your mood is low, days when progress feels slow, days when old habits look attractive, days when you do not feel like becoming better. That is where your real system appears. If your discipline only works on good days, it is not discipline yet. It is mood management. True discipline has a plan for bad days. Not a perfect plan, a return plan. This is important. When the day is bad, reduce the dose, but do not abandon the identity. If you cannot do a full workout, walk for 10 minutes. If you cannot read 30 pages, read 2. If you cannot work for 90 minutes, work for 15. If your morning falls apart, reclaim the afternoon. If you fail today, reset tonight. Do less if you must, but do not disappear. That is how discipline becomes normal. You stop treating every imperfection as failure. You stop living in all or nothing thinking. You stop saying, if I cannot do it perfectly, I will do nothing. That mindset is not high standards, it is fear. A disciplined life is built by returning, again and again. Return to your standards. Return to your focus. Return to your body, return to your work, return to your word. Return until returning becomes automatic. Now choose 3 core standards for the next 30 days. Only 3. A life changes faster when the foundation is clear. For example, Standard 1, I protect the first hour of my day. Standard 2, I complete 1 focused work block daily. Standard 3, I move my body every day. Or Standard 1, I sleep at a consistent time. Standard 2, I finish what I start. Standard 3, I do 1 hard thing before comfort. Choose standards that match the life you are building. Keep them simple, keep them measurable, keep them repeatable. Every night, review them. Ask 3 questions. Did I keep my standards today? Where did I slip? What will I do differently tomorrow? Do not turn the review into self-attack. Review is not punishment. Review is leadership. You are learning how to lead yourself. A person who reviews improves faster than a person who avoids the truth. This nightly review keeps discipline alive. It stops small slips from becoming hidden patterns. It brings your behavior back into awareness. It reminds you that every day is feedback. Over time, discipline becomes less emotional. You stop needing a big speech to do basic things. You stop needing a crisis to wake up. You stop needing shame to take action. You simply live by standards. That is freedom. People think freedom means doing whatever they feel like doing. But if your feelings are chaotic, that kind of freedom becomes a prison. Real freedom is being able to choose what serves your future, even when your mood wants something else. Discipline gives you that freedom. The freedom to trust yourself. The freedom to build. The freedom to walk away. The freedom to focus. The freedom to become stronger than your impulses. Eventually, the disciplined action stops feeling like a fight. It becomes familiar, then it becomes part of you. Then the old life starts to feel strange. One day, the old life will not even feel like home anymore. You will look back at the habits that once controlled you and wonder how you tolerated them for so long. You will see the old distractions, the old excuses, the old patterns, and they will no longer feel like comfort. They will feel like chains. That is when you know change is happening, not when you feel motivated. When the new standard feels normal, when waking up with intention feels normal, when doing the hard thing feels normal, when finishing feels normal, when protecting focus feels normal, when keeping promises to yourself feels normal. That is the point. Repeat it until discipline no longer feels like effort. Life changes when you stop changing your mind. You do not need a perfect life to begin. You need a serious standard. You need one decision that you stop changing every time your mood changes. You need one promise that you keep long enough to rebuild trust with yourself. You need one direction that you protect from distraction, comfort, and the old identity trying to pull you back. Discipline is not here to take your freedom. Discipline is how you earn it. Because without discipline, your impulses decide, your distractions decide, your fears decide, your old habits decide, other people's opinions decide, your mood decides. But when discipline enters your life, you begin to decide again. You decide what gets your attention. You decide what kind of person you are becoming. You decide which habits stay and which habits leave. You decide that your future is worth more than temporary comfort. And when you make that decision repeatedly, life begins to change. Not magically, structurally. Your days change, your actions change, your confidence changes, your identity changes, and eventually, your results change. 90 days from now, you could still be explaining why nothing changed. Or you could be looking at a quieter, stronger, more disciplined version of yourself. One built by decisions nobody saw. That future is not created by one emotional promise. It is created by what you do next. So here is the challenge for the next 72 hours. Day 1. Protect the first part of your morning. No scrolling, no outside noise before you give direction to your own mind. Day 2. Finish one thing you have been avoiding. Make it small enough to complete, but meaningful enough to matter. Day 3. Do one hard thing before you do anything easy. Train your body, clean the space, make the call, open the work, face the task. 3 days, 3 promises, 3 pieces of evidence. Start there. Do not wait for a perfect season. Do not wait until life becomes calm. Do not wait until you feel like a different person. Become different through the next action. If this audiobook gave you clarity, like the video so it can reach more people who need this message. Share it with someone who is trying to become more disciplined. And if you want more long-form audiobooks like this, subscribe and come back when you need to train your mind again. Leave a comment with these words. I choose discipline, not because it sounds good, because it is a line in the sand. From this point forward, stop changing your mind every time discomfort appears. Stop giving your weakest self the final vote. Stop waiting for life to become easier before you become stronger. Choose the standard, keep the promise. Return after failure, protect your focus. Finish the work, cut what weakens you. Stay consistent when nobody claps. Repeat until the new life becomes normal. And remember this, discipline yourself until life has no choice but to change.